Hey, it's Mirna from Trainer's Toolbox. Welcome to the Trainer's Toolbox podcast, a place where you can discover practical and effective tools and tips to make your workshops more insightful, engaging, and memorable. You are at the right place if you're looking to become the best trainer you can be and design truly impactful learning experiences. Ready? Let's dive in. Do you often feel like you have to shift between different contexts really suddenly and put yourself from very focused mode to very open and listening mode to very strategic mode? Or maybe you also have moments often that where you feel like there is something you need or want, but it feels like a bit of a struggle. Maybe you need more rest and slowly your day, but you can't really afford it right now. Or maybe you need a bit more, focus or willpower to create something and design something. And right now it comes with a bit of struggle and you have to push yourself to really do it. If this happens to you, and if it happens often, it probably means you're not embracing the seasons and cycle enough in your work and life. And I don't mean the weather, I mean the inner seasons. You see, all of our life and work is revolving around different cycles and seasons that are natural and that also exist in the world around us, but that also exist within us. And when we embrace this season and when we literally surf different seasons and different parts of the cycle, it liberates a huge amount of energy that we can use for things. It really helps us function in an optimal way with different stages of the cycle. It makes things much easier and much less of a struggle. That is why today I want to talk about one of the frameworks that helps us embrace seasons and cycles. And I'll go with the most natural one, with the 4 seasons of the year, and share with you a bit more about that framework and how we can use it and leverage it as a trainers. As always, a bit of a spoiler, you can actually use it for yourself, for your work and life to design, your work day, your work week, your year, a bit around that system to understand a bit more how to use the energy of different seasons when it shows up and how to also satisfy different needs when they show up in your own work and life. But you can also very much use it as a powerful tool when designing a workshop or an event, kind of behind the scenes tool where you think in seasons. You don't maybe even mention it to the participants, but you think what are the different stages of the cycle and how can I make each of them deeper and more fulfilling in different stages of the workshop. And then the third thing, this is also a really powerful framework to bring into your work with your participants or coachees or attendees or learners or whoever you work with, especially if you work on topics such as well-being, burnout, goals, strategy, even teamwork a little bit. So all these different themes where they require alignment with ourselves and better understanding of ourselves and kind of how can we function better. But not to go much deeper, but the framework I'm going to talk about today is the 4 seasons. And it's basically the framework that uses the 4 stages of a year as a sort of metaphor, and where we can use each of these different stages to work out a different part of the cycle. So the idea of this framework is that in different stages of our work and life, we actually embody different of these seasons, and that very often they're moving in this cycle type of a way where there is always, let's say we start with winter, there is always spring coming after winter, there is always summer after spring, summer always leads us to autumn, and autumn always leads us to winter. Now, one thing that is a bit specific maybe about our inner cycle in comparison to the seasons of the year is that each of these can have a bit different duration. We can have very short winter or very long winter at certain period of time. So they're not very linear that everything has to have the same duration. It's more about each of them satisfying different needs that we have and allows us space for different aspects of our work and life, and we can really leverage that. And once we use and leverage the power of each season and fulfill the needs that each season feeds, we will naturally move into the next season And that can happen actually quite fast or very slow. It really depends. Now let's go with seasons through seasons one at a time and just sharing a bit more what each of these might mean. So the important thing here is really the energy and the flavor of each season. And then later I'm going to talk a little bit more also about how can we use this in practical way. But let's first explore what is hiding under winter, spring, summer, and autumn. So first of all, winter. Winter is that season when it's really all about stillness and rest. It can come also with flavor of coziness and self-care, or doesn't have to, but this is really about slowing down, about spaciousness, about stillness. And from that stillness, very often there will be emerging intuition, and there will be much more space for vision and reflecting on vision, for dreamy mode, for noticing what we want to change, for more clarity that comes as a result of that space and stillness, very often emerging in fairly natural way, but only once we allow it enough of stillness. Now, winter can also be a little bit about nourishing ourselves, but it can also be that space of sort of pregnant pause, where we allow the stillness, and then something new slowly emerges out of that. And it's really powerful, and it's really deep, and it's a lot of clarity, and it's a vision and intuition over our next direction. But that vision and intuition is not something that we thought through and we are very deliberate about it. It's something that really emerged naturally, organically out of that stillness. That was a seed somewhere within us, and we allow it to develop only because we protected this period of stillness and nourishing ourselves. Now, winter is a beautiful season, and it's one that very often we very much neglect in our work and life, because that's really that period of deep rest that ideally lasts as long as we need it. It lasts as long as we get itchy for the new season. And very often it's overrun or by our habit of constant action or by our fears that we cannot stay still for so long, that we should work, that, I don't know, maybe financial fears or existential fears, or fears that we're not productive enough, or maybe fear of missing out. So very often or fears or just this action addiction, active lifestyle makes us shift out of the winter way too fast, or maybe not even enter it. And winter can be a beautiful season, something truly productive. Think of that really quiet winter day when there is first day of snow and it's a deep snow everywhere around you, and it's this absolute stillness. That is the spirit of winter, and that is the space that allows something new to emerge. Now, of course, we can also get stuck in that season. If we get stuck in winter for too long, it basically feels like stagnation. Nothing is going on. And we just feel like, rotting slowly and not really creating anything meaningful. So we don't want to stay in any season for too long. The whole point of cycles and seasons is to keep moving through them fluidly, but also recognizing which might be seasons we neglected. And if we stay in one too long, then the others will be neglected, and the needs related to these seasons will start popping up and pressuring us. But as long as we keep moving fluidly through all four, we will feel in balance. We will feel like we don't have that constant context switching and doing everything at the same time, but instead we give space to one season at a time in our life and work. Now, winter can, but doesn't have to, align with winter in terms of the weather and seasons of the year. Sometimes indeed it is very nice to pull inwards in winter because then it's aligned with the external season. But for somebody, winter can really be summer or any time that we choose to take a quieter period. Now, if we don't want to stay in winter too long, if we don't want to fall into that stagnation, that means we are ready to move into the next season. And often the next season will emerge from that vision getting stronger and from a bit of an itch to now really move into action that doesn't come from external, oh, I have to move, I need to move, but that it comes as a bit of an internal kind of, intuition and desire to create something and to move something. When that happens, we're usually ready to open the door to spring. Spring, to be fair, it's naturally my favorite season and one in which I probably get stuck a bit too often. It's this season of a bit of curiosity and possibilities and of a bit craziness, growth, but this hectic growth, wild growth with creativity. It's a season of a lot of experiments and playfulness and fun, and season that's chaotic and wild and messy, and it's us playing with things, experimenting with ideas, trying new things out, stretching ourselves in too many directions, which long term cannot be productive, but short term it's exciting, especially if we have an energy for that. So it's the season of allowing new things to show up, season of action orientation, of freedom, season that does not allow for perfectionism, and sadly often does not allow for consistency. It's season where we are not committing too deeply, but unless we are playing and we are truly touching on everything and emerging into everything and growing new things and new ideas. Think really like spring, everything blossoming and lush green and bunch of different plants going wild. That's the spring, that's the season of spring, the energy of spring. Now if we stay there, it does become too messy, too hectic, and we are not really moving forward in a meaningful way because we lack consistency and commitment. And maybe we are driving ourselves crazy and sometimes draining our energy because we are staying in this too action-oriented mode for too long. Spring doesn't come neither with rest, even though it's fun, so it can be emotionally fulfilling, but it doesn't come with rest. And it also doesn't come with momentum and with progress so much because we're opening everything. It's a big starting season, but it's not really bringing anything forward over longer term. That's why we actually at some point, from all these ideas and this sparky, wild, free season, we need to at some point commit to something. And for a short period of time, we need to enter the summer. And summer is all about focus and commitment. It's about action, but more deliberate action. It's about sustaining momentum of something that we're building and that is meaningful to us. It's about growth and nourishing, but this time not of ourselves like winter was, but it's about growth and nourishing of our projects, bringing them forward, cultivating things we care about. It's also sometimes about putting ourselves in a spotlight a bit more boldly, about bringing in more visibility, shining bright, showing up what we are doing, and really kind of bringing that extroverted energy forward. Summer comes with consistency and with structure. It comes with staying with it even when it gets a bit demanding or maybe even boring. It comes often with a lot of interaction, again with a lot of action but more deliberate, and also with claiming the space, with being ambitious and bold. You can think of summer as a period of maturity, bringing something to maturity and being mature, being responsible and holding that space to truly strengthen the thing we started to build in spring, the thing we choose from maybe many things we started to build in spring, and to really bring them to their mature state, to the state when they're strong and when we build something we can be really proud of. And again, in this, we can apply summer to a specific project and said this project is now in summer season, we are nourishing it, we are building it, but we can also apply it to our business or to certain skill development. So this framework can be quite versatile, but it means to sustain momentum. Now, we can't do that forever. It would not be healthy. It would be a ticket to burnout. It also requires a lot of willpower and focus, and it's kind of a bit serious mode, getting things done in this summer mode. So definitely at some point when we feel that this project now is mature, or maybe we feel we already quite extended our energy and it's time for a different phase, that's when we're actually entering the autumn. And autumn or fall, it's all about letting go. It's about release. It's about slowly wrapping things up. But it's also about still maintaining and nourishing things a little bit to make sure they extend beyond our actions, refining things a bit more, reviewing, editing, closing loops, clearing out any tails that remained, clearing out space. You can think of it in terms of learning and in terms of finishing something also as a period of integration and active reflection on the thing that we just finished, and kind of this good, solid, slow closure and transition into more empty space, like bringing things forward, closing them in a meaningful way. And then, of course, from autumn, here we go straight into the winter, back to stillness and rest. Again, these phases can and very often will come with very different durations. But an interesting questions are, which of these seasons are you in right now? And it could be different things in your life and in your work and in your business. For example, I, as a personality, I'm in eternal spring. My business is in period of summer, and it requires a bit more of systems and consistency, and I find that a bit of a struggle sometimes. And one part of me was really craving winter these days. I got a bit of it, so now it's craving it a bit less. But somehow different aspects of my life feel in very different seasons at the time. And when I thought of that and actually discovered that for myself, it also gave me a bit of peace of mind. Why sometimes I feel a bit unaligned between different aspects? Why do I find sometimes things in business a bit of a struggle? Because business is in summer, I'm in winter, it's different energy it requires. But when I'm more aware of it, then I can also align it better and recognize it better. So here are two really meaningful, great reflection questions for you. And maybe you want to stop, pause the podcast here a little bit and actually think them through, or download the one-page brief summary and think through it a bit later, maybe with a journal. Now, first question, which season am I in right now in my life? Which season is more present in my life right now? And which season am I commonly in, often, which is my tendency, which is my personality, that I get in it often? And which is the one that I'm neglecting? So which season am I in right now, which is my tendency, and which is one where maybe I'm neglecting a bit, which is the one that I have a need for right now a bit more? And think, how can I do one thing to honor this season in which I am right now? How can I do that one thing to honor it a bit more right these days? Now, I promised you I would also give you a bit of ideas of how we can use this and leverage these in different workshops and frameworks. So I can share maybe on my own example, like I do use this a lot in terms of my life. And where am I and what do I need in terms of taking better care of myself, recognizing better in which energy am I, and trying to align my projects with that. But also when I'm planning, trying to keep this in mind, that even though I feel now very high in spring or summer, I shouldn't plan for eternal spring or eternal summer, because that will inevitably throw me off balance. So it's a lot about this planning our own life and year, and also recognizing and self-awareness of where am I right now, and how is it working for me? Is it something missing? Is there a weak link? Then the second way we can use it is bring it in as a framework in our workshops. Like this is one of the frameworks we play with and we use on a Treehouse, the learning getaway or retreat for trainers, the 4 days event which is kind of a mix between retreat and learning, where you get a lot of space to rest and recharge, but also to learn new tools and frameworks for facilitation, to practice your skills a bit, engage in meaningful conversations with other trainers and facilitators, and really take time to reflect on your life and vision and habits and so on. So 4 seasons is one of the frameworks we use there, and we play with there, one of many, to get new insights and new perspectives and explore where are we in our life right now. And it's a really powerful one. Even if some people at the beginning are kind of like, I'm not sure this framework is useful for me. By the end of the exercise, everybody leaves with new insights and they're like, wow, I didn't expect there is so much I will discover. So I would invite you, if appropriate to your context and topics, to also consider where can I incorporate this as actually specific open framework within my workshops. And then, of course, you could also use it as behind the scenes in your design. So really think when you're doing a design, how can I ensure all 4 seasons are covered? So you can really think about as starting a workshop with maybe a spring and really looking for this high energy, high interaction, high growth, and just this intensive beginning, a lot of fun, a lot of exploration, playfulness, and so on. And then you can work through summer in a way that participants actually choose a bit more narrow. What are their main priorities? What are their focus areas? What are the things that they want to take more seriously and immerse themselves deeper? And then with autumn, we can really think in terms of moments of integration, slowly closing the loops, allowing space to actually wrap up their experience and kind of tone it down slowly, creating that perfect closure. And then leading it all to winter, which is kind of like the period of rest. And if you have a multiple day event, maybe you will have winter every evening, or maybe you will have it only at the end of the event. You can also think in workshops that season might show up as spring are the moments in the workshop where you want to have more new ideas, experimentation, trying out something fresh. Summer can be moments of action, discussion, collaboration, really getting things done. Movement, kind of with a lot of energy. Autumn can be moments of debriefing, moment of harvesting those insights, making decisions, plans, action plans, transfer plans, closing the loops, voting, discussing, and so on. And then winter could be more openly like rest and period after the workshop, but it could also be the moment of reflection and just quiet thinking time, an opportunity to make meaning out of it. Now, I hope this framework gave you some awesome ideas to play with. If you enjoyed this episode, please do share it with fellow trainers and facilitators so we all get to learn new ideas, new frameworks. Even if you knew the framework, I hope this gave you some new angles over it. If you want to explore your own seasons in your own life, I would invite you to join me on Treehouse, the retreat, the learning getaway, because it's a retreat with a lot of reflection and rest, but also a lot of learning, built for trainers and facilitators. You can discover the details of Treehouse in the link in the description of this episode. And if you're keen on learning many new tools and frameworks such as this one, and not just listening about them, but actually testing them in practice and playing with them, one of the places we do that is Trainers Conversations, a community, a small, closely knit community, online community of 20 trainers and facilitators who join together for 1 year with simple monthly community call and 6 masterclasses stretched throughout the year, with the idea to give you light investment of time, yet deep conversations and deep connections and many learnings of new frameworks and many experimentations with new frameworks such as this one. So I would invite you to check that out. The gate to community is always open in November, so probably not right now if you're listening this podcast episode when it's still young. But now it's the perfect time to sign up for waiting list and incorporate it in your plans. Because it does get full quickly, and being on waiting list ensures you're among the first ones who learns when the gate to community opens. So consider joining me in that place for a massive playground and a wonderful community of trainers and facilitators. If you have any feedback, thoughts, ideas, let's connect on LinkedIn or maybe on Trainers Toolbox newsletter. You can always reply to any of the emails and let me know your thoughts on recent episodes, on recent topics, and what would you like to explore deeper and hear more about. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for exploring this topic with me. I hope you found some exciting ideas and valuable tools that you will use already today. Remember, they only work if you put them in practice, but then they make all the difference. If you enjoy Trainers Toolbox podcast, do leave a rating and review. It does mean a lot. And if you haven't done it yet, click on the links in the episode descriptions and discover free materials and valuable resources to dive in deeper. See you in the next episode or at Trainers Toolbox newsletter.